another terrible tragedy. As they laugh, 1,200 workers at the Ingersoll Cami plant learned that they would lose their jobs after that Prime Minister promised he would negotiate a win and that he would keep their jobs here in Canada. They join with 2,000 workers in Brampton, many more in Oshawa. How does the Prime Minister look in the eyes, the very workers that he sold out and betrayed?
I'll tell you how the Prime Minister how he will deal with the auto sector. He will look at the auto workers in the eyes and he will say, we will fight for your jobs. And that's exactly what we're doing every single day. We're negotiating back in Washington, but also, this is important to say that I met this morning with the Canadian CEO of GM. I was in conversation with the head of the labor union of Unifor, and I also talked to Doug Ford, and I talked to Fedelli. And you know what? We're putting in place a response group. We will make sure that we fight for these jobs.
She announced just now that she talked to this person, and she talked to that person, and she talked to this other person, and she talked, and she talked, and they talk, and they talk, and nothing gets done, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are tired of talk. They want their job. This government, for this Prime Minister, looked these workers in the eye and said he would negotiate a win, that he would protect auto jobs, that there would be an all-in-Canada supply chain that would keep them working. They even gave $250 million tax dollars to GM for this plant. And now those workers don't know how they're going to pay their bills. How does this government explain the broken promise and betrayal?
We will fight for these jobs. Not only will we do that, but this morning we were already on the phone with the company to be in solution mode. We were with the GM CEO, with the Unifor labor, and also with Doug Ford and Fedelli. Our goal is to bring back a new model to Ingersoll, and we're on it. Thank you.
I've been talking to the auto workers who are losing their jobs now because of their failed policies. An auto worker in Ingersoll called me this morning and says he doesn't know how he will pay for his mortgage. He doesn't know how he will feed his family. There is a real sense of anxiety in our community. The Liberals blew billions in EVs, and now Canadian workers are the ones that are paying the price and their families. So, will the Liberals finally hit the brakes and stop selling out Canadian workers?
My colleague is right in saying that there's real anxiety right there, and I agree, because I've been in contact with workers and I feel it as well. So our goal is to make sure that we are able to bring back jobs to Ingersoll, to work with the company, to work with the government of Ontario, to work with the labor unions. But meanwhile, we'll make sure that we continue to engage with the United States, because at the end of the day, we know that this is because of the unjustified tariff by the president against the auto sector.
This news out of GM today is another devastating blow for auto workers. It comes less than a week after Stellantis announced 3,000 layoffs as they move production from Canada into the U.S. The Prime Minister looked Canadians in the eye and promised that in exchange for their votes, he would prevent auto sector jobs from happening. Well, they're happening. If the government included a Canadian-wide job protection plan in their $15 billion deal to Stellantis, they can simply invoke that clause. The minister who signed the contract should be able to answer this question. Did they include a jobs protection clause in the contract to Stellantis?
I know that the Conservatives have been wanting to see the contracts that are linked to the Stellantis plant. And you know what? We've said yes. So the opposition on the committee will have access to the contracts. And they will discover that indeed we negotiated well, and indeed Stellantis is on the hook, Mr. Speaker.
It's been a week, and all we've got from this minister is political theater. She's bragging about who she gets on the phone. She's bragging about the tough talks she's having. Here's the thing. If they actually included a jobs protection clause in the contract, all they have to do is invoke it. I'm starting to get a terrible feeling. I'm starting to worry that they signed a $15 billion deal with Stellantis and didn't include a guarantee to protect those Canadian jobs. Can the minister tell Canadians very clearly, explicitly, did they include a jobs protection plan for all jobs at Stellantis when they forked over $15 billion?
I know my colleague's trying to spook Canadians right now, but I think what is really, really important to remember is that any support from the government was linked to the production of batteries, and in that sense, our support is linked from the moment that the production is happening. The production has not necessarily happened yet. That being said, Mr. Speaker, what we will do is to make sure that we hold Stellantis to account, because obviously jobs are important in the Brampton facility, and we'll continue to fight for these jobs.